All right, we are live for another Thursday's Top Tips in Real Estate here on the Arrow Title Services page. And we are super excited every week to come at you with a new topic in real estate. Real estate is hot right now if you've literally been listening to anything about it. If you don't know that by now, there's a rock on top of you, but we are happy to remove that rock and explain some of the different aspects each and every week. This week, we are talking about something that's very interesting and probably very top of mind for a lot of people. Is cash still king in the real estate market right now? There is so much to unpack with this. I'm excited to have these local professionals come on here every week to share their big brains in real estate with you guys, but also just to unpack these a little bit more so that you guys get a little bit more knowledge to work with out there in that crazy market we are in right now. So thank you to the local realtors and lenders who come on here every week to share with us. If you guys have any questions for the professionals who are on here, feel free to reach out to them on their Facebook pages, which are linked in the description of this video. You can always reach out to them. The professionals on here love to just answer questions, and a conversation is always free. So thank you guys for coming on. Let's get into this topic. And by the way, if you guys are watching, if this is your first time watching, we run this in 3 parts. First portion is we talk about the topic that we're talking about and delve into a little bit of a discussion about it. Then the second portion is our top tip of the week in real estate. And then the third portion is any announcements that these professionals have. So watching it all the way through is always valuable. There's always great nuggets all the way throughout. So make sure you guys stay tuned. And if you always want to watch the replay, it's available on our YouTube channel, Arrow Title Services, as well as all of the rest of the videos that we have done since like June of last year. So thanks guys for tuning in. Let's get started. Alannah, start us off. Oh.
I love that is what I was going to say. I am so excited about this topic today. And thank you, Lucie, for this great platform to have this conversation and make people more aware of the possibilities here. So first off, my name is Alannah. I'm with EXP Realty. And I think that cash is a tool. I think cash is a tool in a toolbox, and that the way you use it determines how well it works for you. I think that's a fantastic analogy. And just as an example, cash buyers often are wanting to get the most bang for their buck, and they're wanting to come in at a little bit lower of a price because they feel that there is a lot of value to them being able to turn cash right over. This is a market right now that is very, very hot. And I wouldn't necessarily say that that strategy is a key to success in this current market. Having said that, I've noticed that there are a lot of instances where cash is being used in a smarter fashion, where they are putting a great deal of cash down, but they're still financing a small portion of it, thus eliminating the appraisal issue being a bone of contention throughout a process, but also using their cash in a smart fashion rather than necessarily capping themselves and wanting to get that great deal and getting frustrated with how competitive this market is. So with that being said, that's my initial perspective, but I'd love to throw it back to you, Lucie, and hear what the other professionals have to say.
Thank you so much, Alannah. Great way to start off that conversation. There definitely is a lot to unpack, and I can't wait to hear what everyone has to say and then discuss it even further past that. So we will go to Codi. So Codi, tell us your perspective on, is cash still king in this crazy market right now?
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Codi with Bourgeois Real Estate Group. I think that, cash being king is dependent upon your situation. Because, a lot of investors would say, even though they have enough cash to purchase the property outright, they're still doing financing. So, I mean, yeah, cash is king is if you can go purchase properties outright and that not affect you. But if you have just enough and, your credit is a factor, then that could be a problem, even though you can afford that property. So it just depends. Cash being king is going to be dependent upon how you apply that cash for your best interest. So that would be my take on it.
I like that. Thanks so much, Cody. Good way to put it into perspective a little bit. And I think that that's really what it is. It's perspective wise. How is it going to affect you? So we are going to go to the lending side of things before we come back to the realtor side. And the lender side is a very important side of the process when it comes to just everything in real estate. But I think from a lender's perspective, this will be very interesting. So Peggy, take us away. Can't wait to hear what you have to add.
Yes, thank you, Lucy. Peggy Hornick with East Coast Mortgage Lenders, and I am the only lender on the panel today, but this is a very important part, and with interest rates so low historically over the past year, I've been seeing in my clients and investors, even though they have the cash to pay for the property outright, my smart investors are financing because the interest rates are so low that they can take their cash and invest it in something different that's going to yield them a higher interest rate than having a low mortgage payment. So now there I do work with a lot of first time home buyers, and the challenge with the first time home buyers in this competitive real estate market is that you're competing against cash buyers and the sellers. The reason that the first time home buyers are having such a hard time is they're not putting very much money down, and there are those appraisal concerns for a seller where they are selling their home price is a little bit maybe above what the average has been and what the comparable sales are supporting. And so they will be a little hesitant to take an FHA buyer with just 3.5% down. So that's where the issue has been for my first time home buyers. They're getting beat out by the cash buyers. So because there's not an appraisal done most times on a cash buyer. But I do have a great product for people that do buy a house with all cash, and it's called delayed financing. So anytime after somebody buys a property for cash within the first 6 months, they can refinance and recoup some of the cash that they've put down into the property and put the financing then on their property. What that does is that puts them in a great position to buy the house as cash. They're going to get a favorable, probably a favorable bump up when there's multiple offers. But then they can, after closing, go as soon as that deed is recorded, they can apply for a cash out refinance to recoup the cash. So that's a great alternative for somebody that is wanting to be competitive and get their offer in that first spot. Rates are still great. In the past week, we've seen an uptick in interest rates, and that is taking rates from about the high twos to the low threes, low to mid threes, depending on your credit score and down payment. But that still is historically an amazing interest rate if you're wanting to finance. So that is my take on the cash outs and if cash is king. Um, and so it is still a great environment to borrow money with those low interest rates. So thank you,
Absolutely.
Lucy.
Thank you, Peggy. Great insight into that perspective and knowing that you have that program available for a lot of those investors. That's definitely something that, to be aware of, a lot of those investors, and I know that we've seen on the title side, is like sometimes these investors are saying that they're going to pay cash and they have every intention of paying cash, but then they realize after they get the contract, well, actually I might finance. And then they end up getting into a financing situation. And if it doesn't work out for any reason, then their backup is cash. So they have that aspect. But it's been very interesting to see a lot more investors getting into those loans because it's practically free money almost.
Yeah. And the thing that the buyers are concerned about is the length of time it takes to get the financing done. However, our industry is caught up because the refinances are out of the system and not clogging up the system so much. So it's a 30-day process from contract to closing for me to do. So that time frame shouldn't be an issue anymore for lending.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of that as well with the lenders because we work with a lot of lenders on our end, and seeing those timeframes definitely shaping up more because I know a lot of people were worried about that in the past, just with everything, how inundated we were for almost a year. So I think everybody in the industry is just kind of getting on their feet. They're like, okay, we're used to this now. Like, let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for that valuable information, Peggy. And I'm sure we'll get even deeper into that a little bit later into the discussion. We are going to go to Deb. Deb, what are your thoughts on cash? Is cash still king?
I love this topic, and you all had some really great things to say, and we all agree on that. Cash is great, especially the seller. They love when you have a cash buyer. But cash also too has other factors in it that your client really wants to consider. It's best to keep your cash flow for emergencies or something later. Interest rates are so low. And again, agree with you, Peggy, let your money work for you so that you can earn interest on that. Interest rates are going up a little bit, but it is still really low. So I bought my first house when the interest rates were 17% back in the 70s. So when I hear people complain even of a 4%, no, 17%, that's a high. And that was back in the upper 70s. There's a couple of different options when you do go ahead and you're using cash. You can go ahead and pay cash for the house and get a HELOC. That's a home equity line of credit. So let's just use this for an example. You could have a $100,000 line of credit, but say you only use $10,000 for do some type of renovation, small renovation. Well, you're only having to pay that $10,000 back. So whatever money you take out, obviously that's what you're going to have to pay back. But that's an option. But also too, we have a lot of retirees. Keep the cash flow. The second, the reverse mortgages. That's a great program too, where they can put, for an example, say 50% down, still have cash flow, but then they're getting paid monthly for staying in that home. And when you're a retiree, and if you're really on a budget, that really helps them. A lot of people are really worried, what am I going to leave my children? Your children are going to be fine. They just have to work, like you just have to work as your parents did. So I think it's more important for the retirees just to really make sure that they're doing the right thing for themselves. Another thing with the cash too is mainly, I don't know, a couple of the realtors, Alannah, how many cash buyers do you have that go ahead and have an appraisal? Not too many. So you want to be a little bit careful on that note too, because especially with you as a real estate agent, if for some reason they appraise after and that appraisal is really like this far apart, they're going to come to you. So you really make sure that you know what your market is, because you're going to be the first person that they call if they see that spread is really up there. But no, cash is great if you can afford it. But they really need to know what their finances are. It's extremely important on that one.
Absolutely. Great information, Deb. Thank you for that addition. There's just so many aspects to consider when going into this type of purchase. And a lot of times, I think people very much bring it down to the fact that they're like, oh, they just think, oh, just get a mortgage. Like there's only one type of mortgage out there, maybe two, but there's like, I don't even know what number could suffice that, Becky. That would be in your wheelhouse, but there's so many different options, so many different ways to kind of negotiate within. I mean, negotiation is always a part of the real estate transaction. And there's just so many facets to it. And I'm sure we'll get into that at the discussion portion, but I do want to hear from Eric. Eric, welcome. What do you have to add to the conversation?
Well, first of all, thank you, Lucie, for this platform to be able to express our opinions on it. My experience with cash in the market right now has just been that with financing and cash is pretty much the same thing at this point because of the market that with the financing interest rates being so low. So a lot of the, like I said, in my experience, a lot of the sellers are just not entertaining at the moment the cash offer because it's usually cash offers are coming in. I actually had one the other day offering like 25 grand less than what what they were asking for. So in my experiences, sellers are, because of the market being so hot, just waiting out because it only takes that 30 days to get approved for a loan. So that's just been my experience with cash being king. But I totally understand with the investing side, because I actually did investing side of real estate prior to me getting my license as an agent. So it's just not a market for it at the moment, in my opinion.
Great addition, Eric. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because that is definitely an aspect to add into there when it comes to buying and selling, and when it comes to investors. I mean, regularly when it comes to buying, first of all, every buyer wants a property that, like, for as cheap as possible, right? And every seller wants more for their property. So there's always been that battle, no matter what kind of market it is. But when it comes specifically to investors, when investors are a part of that, they want a deal so that they can, whether flip it, whatever it might be, make more money on the back end, because they're usually selling it again. And it's just kind of like that play and toss. And that's why you're seeing these investors now kind of taking advantage of the loan opportunities, because sometimes in these situations, you're automatically getting equity in your house when you purchase it, right? So it's a very interesting market to just see, like, the fluctuations that's happened over the last year, and how much in our local area along the Treasure Coast, because we are all along the Treasure Coast here, just how much it's grown, how much it's continuing to grow. I mean, there are places, I was just out on Crosstown in Tradition, like, you know how Crosstown ends, just noticed that road is extending, that whole neighborhood, and I was just like, wait, what? So I just happened to be in that area, but it's growing so rapidly, and we have so much more attention coming to us now because of the current environment with the pandemic and such, because everybody wants to escape the cities, right? So we will get into now the discussion portion. Does anybody have anything to add after hearing everybody speak? Oh, I hear, looks like Alannah is very eager to start us off. Everybody's like, yes, me. Alannah, go ahead. Oh, go ahead. Oh.
Yeah, Lucie, can I just add something? And,
yeah, sure, go ahead.
Eric, I agree with what you're saying. But I think, again, it's really important that we educate that client. So if they are paying the cash, yes, I agree. They think they can go ahead and really lowball it. But that's where we have to come in, and we have to educate that person and just let them know where the market is, what is reasonable, and possibly why they need to go up and over what the asking price is. So again, it still goes back to the agent, and we really have to know the market. We have to know our numbers, and that's critical. And the same even for a mortgage broker as well. You really have to know that market and your numbers.
And oh, go ahead, Eric.
No, I was just going to say, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's actually one of the pieces I left out was what I did with that situation is I explained to him as the agent, I was like, I completely understand that you want to come in at this number. I have no problem doing that for you, because technically I work for you. I'll do anything you ask me to do, but just know that this is, what the market is doing. And as long as you're okay with that, then we're good to go.
Absolutely. Yeah, we are the market professional. We are the local professional. We are the advisor. We are the news reporter. Our information is objective, and our job is to give it to you so that you can make the most educated decision you can. And when you ask our opinions, we give it. And when you don't, we are doing what you ask us to do. So yeah, we're here as a resource though. So I know that we stress it every week, and I'll say it again. We are here as a resource and to advocate for your best interests, regardless of whether you want to hear it or not.
Absolutely. If you're working with, I know that there's some, bad thoughts about realtors out there for some people, but there's so much that they do on the back end. And if you have one that is working hard for you, the value is invaluable, because especially in this kind of market right now, and Deb brought up a great point, and Eric and Alannah just even added on to it. But the piece that I wanted to add on to that is that think about if you are a for sale by owner right now, And if a cash deal comes to you from an investor and they try to, like, you don't know the market, you don't know what houses are going for. You might be able to go look online, whatever it might be, but you really don't know how to do a cross market analysis like a realtor would do for you or whatever, unless you've been a realtor. So, you know, when you would maybe get a cash offer and be like, oh, this is so awesome, I just got a cash offer. If you are working with a realtor and that realtor said, no, actually, you can get this for your property, that's where it's kind of like, that's what a realtor is there. They're an advocate for you to make sure that you are taken care of at the end of the day, both parties. That's why both parties are represented by separate realtors usually. I mean, there are times where it's on both sides, but usually it's separate parties because they want to make sure that the best interest is for their client and that everybody is getting what they need at the end of the day. So I just wanted to make that point. Peggy, go ahead.
Yes, and regarding cash, so I work with a lot of first-time home buyers, and a lot of them will go online and look at properties that say cash only. And so these are properties that are cash only for a reason. And a lot of the main reasons is the condition of the property. So that means that there's something wrong with the property, that it won't pass an appraisal, it won't pass the conventional guidelines for the condition of the property. Or it could be that it's a non-warrantable condominium, which means that the condo requirements don't meet the Fannie and Freddie guidelines. So there is a reason. So I always am trying to tell my first-time home buyers, don't try and force a square peg in a round hole. It says cash only for a reason, and that's you can't try and do finagle financing on a cash only property.
It's a great great point.
Very good.
That is a great point. And I think that, you know, a lot of times that might even come from them looking at a listing or something and just not knowing how to navigate all of that information. They go straight to the pictures. They're clicking through the pictures and they're like, this looks great. Or, oh, I could maybe imagine me fixing this up. But like sometimes, I mean, and I've seen some houses in the past that it's just like the pictures do it way more justice than it needs. We've all seen those where, you know, it's like those pictures are like, oh, it looks really great. You go and see it and you're like, okay, all righty then.
It's like our high school pictures that we use on our business cards, right?
Oh God.
Please no.
Oh my gosh. No, really what it is it's Instagram versus reality. That's what it is. Let me just some Photoshop here, some Photoshop there, making you really imagine what it would look like if it was good.
Well, and so I want to hit another angle from this because I think it's really important to touch on while we're having this conversation. There are sellers, listers who do not want to entertain financing offers. They want us to list the property as cash only. And again, at the end of the day, our job is to do what we are asked to do. However, it's very important to note that, to Peggy's point, the very first thing a professional looks at when they see something that, you know, it might be in terrible shape and you can see it with your own eyes, but if something's beautiful and nicely handled and maintained and it says cash only and the build date doesn't add up to the cash only, it creates an atmosphere of a lot of uncertainty. And that is a surefire moat without a bridge to get over it, with a lot of those potential buyers that you are turning away before they've even opened your door. So I just wanted to point that out because it's definitely a conversation that I've had.
Yeah, absolutely. What a great, I liked your analogy of a moat. You're so funny. I love it.
No bridge. No bridge
for that moat. That's awesome. Do we have anyone else who wants to add to that conversation? No?
I'm good.
I think for going into, you had mentioned about someone for sale by owner, and somebody comes up and says, I'll go ahead and pay cash. There's so many different components. How do you know the buyer has the cash for it? Are you familiar with all the contract? And I mean, every single page, the wording on the contract. And as you know, Lucie, there are so many things that can come up. You all know that as well. But there's so many different things that have come up. And again, it's educating that client, that home buyer, because that for sale by owner, not all, but some, they are just thinking that I'll just sign on the line and I have my house sold, here's my check. And obviously it doesn't work that way. But again, it's just educating. And we have to make sure that they see the value in using us. That's the biggest thing. And it's just, they have to see the value. And the only way they're going to see that value is if we are able to show them the value.
Go ahead, Erin.
I completely agree.
So,
yeah.
so coming from the, that was a great point, because coming from the investing side of real estate, an investor only has to have a 2-page contract that states that they are an investor and they could or could not be assigning this contract to somebody else. And whereas as going with a real estate licensed professional, you now have a 12-page contract that supports you in every aspect of the transaction, or protects you, should I say, for every aspect of the transaction.
Absolutely. And I think that, it's really hard to navigate the real estate world. I know that there's so much information out there online. I mean, you can Google how to do literally anything. You can YouTube it even. I mean, but to put all of the pieces that you actually need to make the puzzle is nearly impossible, I'd say, in the real estate industry, to just do fresh eyes, if you're not in the real estate industry, for you to just try and piece all of those puzzle pieces together, it's probably not going to look like what the puzzle's supposed to look like. Or you're just going to have lots of missing pieces. And I think, a lot of times it's the realtor connecting you with the proper resources and just making sure you have that great team. We've talked about that in the past, where it's, having your realtor, having your mortgage lender, having your title company, the people that are going to make sure that everything goes smoothly for you. And if there are bumps along the road, they are preparing you and help guiding you over those humps carefully. So that nothing breaks. But it's really important to know that the local professionals, especially the ones that are on here, guys, the real estate industry is insane right now. And everybody is running around with their heads cut off like a chicken, like a chicken with their head cut off. And we're all keeping it together though. And the professionals that are on here, they are taking time out of their busy schedules to educate you guys, because they know how important it is to get the proper information out there, because there's so much information out there. So, this is something that you can find on YouTube, this video, but if you're going to take are you going to take the 30 hours to watch our 30 videos and get even just, we talk about a new topic every single week. It's we haven't even talked about it all. There's no way we're ever going to get through it all. So it's interesting. And just last point to the for sale by owner as well. There's a lot of for sale by owners that will, maybe undervaluate their homes and not get as much as they could, or overvaluate their homes because, the market's great right now. I'm going to list my $200,000 house for $300,000 and it's going to sell because things are selling in 3 days and it's crazy. The houses that are selling in 3 days are priced appropriately.
Right. Good
so,
point.
you can't just be it's going great, let me just throw it up there for something, and then it's sitting out there for a long time. And I mean, how many of you guys have come across that? A lot. And it's, it's hard. It's hard to have the conversation. And again, every seller wants more money and every buyer wants less, but we have to be aware of our situation, having the free conversation with these local professionals. Whereas Peggy, she can walk you through the fact that sometimes, you may think the house price is really expensive, but with the extremely low interest rates, not 17% like Deb had, you're getting more bang for your buck. So yeah, I think there's just a lot of value out there in our market right now. We live in a very special place. So I thank you guys every week for coming on here and sharing your big brains. If you guys are tuning in live right now and you just missed this discussion, you better go rewatch it because it was great information. You can always rewatch all of our videos that we do with these local professionals on our YouTube channel, Arrow Title Services. And don't forget that the information for the realtors are in the description of this video. Feel free to reach out to them at any point to answer your questions, because the conversation is free. So let's get on to the number one top tip of the week, because it is Thursday's Top Tips in Real Estate. I love this portion because it's always little like nuggets of information here and there. So Alannah, why don't you start us off with your number one top tip this week?
Sure thing. Alannah Ghazel, EXP Realty. My top tip for this week is to remember financiers are your friend. They are the ones willing to pay full or over asking, and they're getting the support of the market to make it happen.
Love that. Great one. What about you, Codi?
Hello, Codi here again from Bourgeois Real Estate Group. My top tip would probably be to provide your information. If you are contacting a professional for, whether it be a lender, realtor, whoever, if they need some information from you, I would recommend that you get it to them as quickly as possible, because we can't do anything for you without that information. So, do what you need to do to get it to us so we can help you get to that finish line.
Awesome tip, Codi. Very relevant. Always, always relevant. Thank you. Peggy, what about you? Lending side, top tip of the week.
My top tip of the week is, if you are in contract and you're working with a lender, lock that interest rate in. That's my advice for right now in this environment. If the rates are volatile, we've seen daily increases. Sometimes my investors are changing their rates 2 and 3 times a day, increasing them. So don't try and get a little bit less in the interest rate, or try and play the market. It's like gambling. And ask your lending professional to please lock in that rate. We've got to lock it in for the term that all the way out to the closing date. So sometimes that could be a 30-day lock, a 45-day lock, or a 60-day lock. And the longer you lock, the more expensive it is to lock that rate. But it's worth it. Then you have peace of mind. You're happy with the rate you got, and then you can move forward and getting your loan clear to close.
Love that. Thank you, Peggy. Great advice for that real estate lending market over there. All right, let's get to Deb. What about you? What's your top tip of the week?
Oh gosh, my tip would be for the buyer to know your expenses, to know your financial landscape. That is not difficult. You yourself know it better than anybody else. And when you go to a real estate agent, go ahead and interview them, talk to them. And if you're not happy with them, that's okay. Try another real estate agent, but you want to get with an agent that's going to work for you. And we need you, the client. And so just make sure that that agent is keeps you well informed, has the answers, not that answers that you're looking for, but the actual answers. Sometimes we don't like what we hear, but at least you'll have the correct answer, which is much more important.
Absolutely. Love that tip, Deb. Super, super valuable for anybody who's watching. So keep that in mind for sure. Okay, Eric, what about you? What's your top tip of the week?
All right, so I'm gonna put this out to the inspectors. The inspection people are your friends. They are not there to kill your deal or anything like that. They are there to inform. They have a hard enough job as it is to tell you what is wrong with this house, but it is in your best interest to find out exactly what you are getting into with such a big purchase.
That's a good one. That's a real good one. It's like they almost want you to lie to them. Like, it's got termites. Oh, don't tell me that. I want the house. Like, okay.
Like we are literally their advocate, and the inspector is our partner in the whole team for the whole trek. They're along for the ride too. They're rooting for you. Absolutely. Good or bad. They want you to be well informed.
Absolutely. And having that inspector, knowing that the professional relationship that you guys have with them, usually they're telling you like, hey, this is wrong, but this is the step you can take to fix that, and how bad it might be. You know, it's about taking the information and spinning it, like, okay, or not spinning it, I shouldn't say that, taking that information and knowing like what to do with it, rather than just like freaking out, like, oh no, one electrical outlet doesn't work, it costs $5. You know, it's like, you know, it's sometimes it's these little things. And I know that it's a very stressful process to purchase a home right now, especially, but just in general. Every time that someone purchases a home, it's usually because something is changing in their life. So it's usually not the only thing changing in their life. So all of these moving parts, you know, it makes it a very emotional process. But I'm going to put my number one top tip as breathe. It's gonna be okay. Whoosa, it's all right. You're gonna get over it. There's a rainbow on the other side, and they say there's nothing like when you finally close, you got the keys in hand, and you walk into your new home, and it will all be worth it. So just breathe. It's gonna work out. If you have done the steps ahead of time to make sure you have the right team behind you, you will have no worries other than what you just have to, what's ahead of you. So you got a good team, you'll be safe, you'll be good. So thank you guys for those great tips. Oh, I love that. Those were well-rounded tips today. I like it. All right, let's get into the announcements portion. So always having great information from these local professionals. They always have new things coming up. So this is a great portion to hear what they've got going on. And usually it's a good variety of things. So Alannah, why don't you start us off? Do you have anything to announce for us today?
Absolutely, Lucie. As a matter of fact, I have a beautiful listing right now in Jensen Beach, and I know that everybody wants to be on the Treasure Coast, and Martin County is, you know, top of the list. So got a place within 10 minutes of the beach. Find my information, give me a ring, and let's talk about it and see if it might be a good fit for you. If not, we'll help you find the right fit for you.
Love that. Thank you, Alannah. That's definitely a desirable area in Jensen Beach for sure. What about you, Codi? What you got for us announcement wise?
For everyone, Codi again, Bourgeois Real Estate Group. My announcement is my availability for your next real estate transaction. Although I have a few things going on, I am available to help you get to where you need to be. So contact me, and I'm glad to help.
Thanks so much, Codi. Appreciate you. Peggy.
Well, I don't have any announcements, but if you're looking to purchase a home, your very first step should be to get pre-approved. That's the most important step, so you know how much you can afford to buy. So many factors go into qualifying. So speak to your mortgage professional, me, Peggy Hornick with East Coast Mortgage Lenders, and I will give you a free pre-approval evaluation.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people miss that when they're getting into the whole process. They go straight to they're like, okay, show me houses. I want 250,000. Let's go. They're like,
right.
What?
Got to get pre-approved.
The realtor gently steers them back the way they need to go.
Yep. You're like, scoot this way. Oh, love it. Thank you, Peggy. Deb, what about you? Anything coming up people should know about?
Yes. I'm with EXP Realty as well, and my team consists of veterans or first responders, and we love helping our veterans. So especially with the veterans, if you know of anybody, definitely make sure that you really reach out to them. We want everybody to have great service, but our veterans are just a notch up there, a little bit more. So just make sure that you're keeping an eye out for our veterans.
Absolutely. And you're actually involved with DDS for Vets. Do they have anything coming up?
I do. I'm actually the founder of DDS for Vets, and we are having a fantastic event Sunday, March 7th. So we're having the Port St. Lucie Police Department versus the St. Lucie County Fire Department. The fire department always wins, but we're hoping the Port St. Lucie Police Department will win at this softball tournament at Jessica Clinton Park. Starts at noon, Sunday, March 7th is a fundraiser. And just go to my site, ddsforvets.org, and the details are there. And come on out and support us. And it's a family event, so please feel free to stop by.
Thank you, Deb. It's amazing what you do for the local veterans that here along the Treasure Coast. And if you guys don't know about DDS for Vets, it's a great local nonprofit organization that Deb runs. So I love seeing the realtors involved in our community, and each and every one of them on here are involved in some way, shape, or form. So thanks for sharing that, Deb, and check it out, guys. Eric, what about you?
So I'm gonna kind of piggyback off of Codi. I am available to no big announcements, but I am available to meet your real estate needs. You can find me, contact me on Facebook. I'm with EXP Realty. I'm also on a team as well called the Dean's List Group. So I also want to plug for Alannah. Go check out that house. It's beautiful.
Love it. Do they get an automatic A+ because they're on the Dean's List group? Like A+?
No, you still have to earn your grades.
Darn. Darn. No gold star for me.
16th of a gold star. You walked in the door.
All right. Yeah, there you go. Awesome. Thanks so much, Eric. All right, guys, if you are watching live right now and you missed the amazing live conversation that we just had, please make sure you go and rewatch this. It was a great conversation about, is cash still king in this crazy real estate market right now? Local professionals, we have realtors and lenders who come on every single week to share with you a new topic in real estate. We go live every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if you happen to be in another state. And we always love for you guys to join in and just learn a little bit more about the real estate market and what we're experiencing as local professionals in this market as well. Our goal is just to help you and be a resource, like Alannah has mentioned earlier, for you. So make sure you guys, if you want to rewatch this video, you can rewatch it on our Arrow Title Services YouTube channel, along with all of the other topics that we have covered over the past 8 months or so. It's valuable information, and we're only here to try and help you, guide you, and make sure that you guys get into your dream home. So thank you for you guys. We will see you guys again next week, and ta-ta for now. Have an amazing rest of your week. Bye.